Hello friends, let's discuss today's set of questions. And the first one is on the Human Development Index. The Human Development Index is brought out by the United Nations Development Program. That's the UNDP there. The United Nations Development Program is headquartered in New York City. It's headquartered in New York City and it's headed by its administrator named H.M. Steiner. H.M. Steiner. Now, let's go to the HDI itself. The HDI is a measure of how things are around the world in terms of development parameters. It looks at education, access to education, quality of life, and of course, income. And things have gone pretty bad in the last 2 years. So much so that, ever since the index was increased, there has been a steady rise in development around the world. Of course, development is always uneven. It is different, different in different parts of the world in terms of, when I say different, in terms of efficacy, in terms of the kind of reach, how many people has it been able to impact positively. So the fruits of development always don't go to all the people. Okay, I mean, growth is uneven. Since growth is uneven, the fruits of development will also be, the benefits of development will also be uneven. Now, you see that there in this graphic, even during the 2008 financial crisis that happened sometime, that started in the US and spread to the European Union. From there, it went to all impacted most of the world. See, even there was a slight dip here. There is a slight, there is a blip here, there is a dip here, but after that there has been a steady rise, though there has been ups and downs, ups and downs. The issue here is that things are pretty bad. Things are bad now, very bad. You see this, projected was here in the last 2 years after the COVID, during the COVID pandemic years, things have gone bad. They actually have gone down, which means that developmental parameters like education, people's access to education, their quality of life, their income generation, healthcare, all these have taken a beating and they are suffering. Now, apart from this COVID pandemic, there has been a major issue of inflation. Inflation is kind of a tax on the poor. It's an undeclared tax on the poor. And it's always the poor, the disadvantaged, the marginalized people who suffer the most. And this has been the case with the UNDP's HDI as well. It has reflected a great deal of suffering this year. Things are going from bad to worse in some parts of the world. I have 3 graphs and I will show you how things are, like this is the first graph. See, this Human Development Index measures, the level of development in a country on 3 major parameters: income, quality of life, and of course, education. Now, the top 3 countries, and just before that, the theme of this year's, you could write this, 2021 HDI. Write this, I'll give you some lowdown on this. 2021-22 HDI. This is the first time they have a combined 2-year HDI because none was brought out in the COVID years. Okay, so you could write one theme. What is the theme? Uncertain times. They may ask you this in the exams. Unsettled lives. So the idea behind this theme is, how do we shape our tomorrow? How do we shape our future in an uncertain world, in a world that's majorly transforming, that's changing pretty fast. Sometimes the change is not visible, but it's an undercurrent. It's always happening. So you could write this next point. When we say, okay, just before that, when we say uncertain times, what are these uncertain times? Why are we having uncertain lives? Because there is a great deal of economic suffering. There is because of inflation, everything, supply chain issues, unemployment, and there is this increased sense of polarization in the in America. It's between the, the there is this movement called the Black Lives Matter. So there are the racial, issues there. In India, there is a deep polarization between ideologies, then political ideologies, religious ideologies. That's the same case everywhere in the world. You look at West Asia, Israel, Palestine are at loggerheads. They have been at loggerheads at each other's throats for almost 7 decades now. So things around the world are bad. You look at Ukraine, Russia. You look at Europe versus Russia. You look at Japan versus China. You look at China versus Taiwan. China versus America over Taiwan. Philippines versus China. Philippines versus China. Vietnam versus China. So there is a great deal of uncertainty. There is a great deal of polarization along national issues, local issues, along community issues. Yeah. So I would suggest, you see, whenever you look at these things, don't look at it through a narrow lens of one particular thing. Okay, this is what is happening. That's why this is happening. No, there are multiple parameters that are shaping. The war in Ukraine is shaping your pocket. Whether you get to spend money, or you have enough money with you, or do you have enough money to spend on food, or after spending on food, do you have anything left over? So these are the kinds of things that are shaping our today. So that is a theme. Next, you could write top 5 or top 3. Top 3 sufficient. Top 3 nations. Which are the world's most developed nations in terms of having the highest HDI index? Write this. 1, Switzerland. 2, Norway. 3, Iceland. These 3 countries have the best quality of life in the world, best human development index parameters. So these are top 3, right? Bottom 3. So what is mentioned here? 191 countries. So 191 countries were taken for survey here. Was surveyed. 191. The worst performing country is South Sudan. Chad, which is again a neighbor here. Niger. These are the bottom 3. Bottom 3. Top 3, bottom 3. What about India? Rank. You could write the ranks of 3 other countries. And by the way, this index divides countries into 4 major categories. One is very high development. These are very high development index. Okay, these are what are called extremely low or low index. These are low. Okay, then there is something called medium. You could write India 132. India's rank is 132. Next, so we mentioned very high, we mentioned low, we mentioned medium, then we need to look at high. China 79, rank 79. Okay, Pakistan low 161. So these are 4 categories. Okay, guys. India's rank in the previous index, 2020 index, was 130. Things have gone slightly down. That's what it means. Yeah. But see, look, there are a lot of parameters here. Some they have access to data. Some data that does not come to them. Sometimes there is a selective data bias. Confirmation bias. There are a lot of biases here. So let's not get there. But these are the facts. Now I want you to write one more thing here. Or rather, pay attention here. Okay, you will see this. More than 87 countries, or you could say during the first year of the pandemic, 87 countries witnessed a downtrend in HDA parameters. 87 countries, and these were very highly developed countries. See, very high, medium, low. So these 87 countries are present across these 4 broad categories. So some countries which are generally very highly developed, they also saw a downturn, a downswing in these HDI parameters. It's just not the poor countries that suffered, it's also the rich countries. You look at Italy, it suffered a great deal. Germany, you look at Netherlands. So this suffering is not visible because the world, especially the Western media, would focus on countries like India rather than their own backyard. Yeah. So there is a major issue there. And if you look at 2021, because the COVID pandemic had a peak. We had the first wave in 2020, the second wave in April, May, in 2021. You look at 51 countries. So things were not as bad in 2021 as they were in 2020 because we were caught unawares. We were ill prepared. Yeah, and there were no vaccines. But as vaccines came in 2021, things began to change. But you look at this now. There is a great deal of vaccine inequality. Vaccine inequality. So you see this title here. Hey, all these graphs are from the HDI report. I have gone through the entire report, major parts of the report. There is a report, 5-point entire report, and then there is an overview. I went through both actually. And the overview is actually the first chapter in this HDR, Human Development Index report. So I want you to know one more thing here, that this graph, all these three graphs come from the report. Okay, I don't claim to own these things. You see this. What kind of vaccine inequality is there today? I mean, great deal. Nearly 72% of all people living in rich areas, vaccine eligible people, have had at least one dose of vaccine as of July end 2022. Okay, but look at the poor countries, especially in Africa and Asia, just about 5%. 5 in what we say 100, that's about 20. 1 in 5, yeah, that's 5 in 20. 1 in 25. So things are pretty bad, my friends. It's just about 20% of people in these countries have been vaccinated. Okay, because rich countries have not been generous enough in giving away additional vaccine doses, surplus vaccine doses, unlike India, which had been quite generous in giving away millions of doses of vaccines to nations, poor countries in Africa, countries where there was a great deal of urgency. We had given millions of doses to Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, some countries in Southeast Asia as well. We have been generous. That's why we have such soft power, such a great name in the world. But when it comes to the Western world, they had been pretty much hoarding and pretty selfish in giving away what they had in abundance. So in all, my friends, ladies and gentlemen, things are pretty bad. There is a lot of uncertainty in the world today. How and where the war in Ukraine will go, and of course, inflation because of China factor, because of the supply chain issues, because of the Ukraine war, because of climate change. These things are all impacting the world. Okay. Let's hope things get better, my friends. Interest on savings bank account is now calculated by banks on a daily basis. This is a fairly simple question. We'll not spend time on this. Okay. Which of the following towns joined the UNESCO Global Network of Learning Cities? All three of these. And you know what is a learning city? See, a learning city is what is defined by the UNESCO as a learning for life city. See, some cities which have been chosen here, like these three cities, they would be at various stages of development. So they all can learn from each other. Let's say there is a city A, which has gone through a certain developmental story and which has had certain experiences. And from these experiences, it has learned a few things. Now there is city B. City B is following city A in development trajectory. And city B is facing a certain problem, which in the past city A had gone through and has successfully resolved. So city B can take lessons from city can get in touch with the city officials of city A and learn the lessons to tackle the problem in city B. Like there is this city, apart from these cities, there are cities in China like Chengdu. There is this Asmara in Egypt. Not Asmara. Asmara is the capital of Eritrea. Aswan, Aswan. Aswan is also a dam in Egypt. Now, the city of Aswan has been greatly successful in two major things. One, initiating a variety of entrepreneurial programs for its people. Different kinds of entrepreneurial programs, stitching, vending, basically certain kinds of, someone wants certain kind of job. So these kinds of people are, not job, work. People don't have the skill, they are being upskilled. So the city administration has come forward, to train people, to upskill people. Now, the second thing that the town of Aswan, Aswan, in Egypt has been successful is water conservation methods. Water conservation. It is a desert. Look, Egypt is in Upper Sahara, although it's on the banks of river Nile. This Aswan town, you need to understand, water conservation is a major issue everywhere. So they have been pretty successful in coming up with different methods of water conservation, including for gardening. So these methods could be learned by some other town, let's say the town of Warangal in Telangana, which is pretty much a dry place. So except for monsoon, things are pretty bad otherwise. So these kinds of towns can learn from, Aswan in terms of not just training its people for different entrepreneurial activities, but also for, water conservation and other methods. There are a lot of things happening around the world. There you see, we may say the world is becoming smaller by the day. Of course, the world is not smaller, but yes, the world is changing. Look, remember one thing, the world never progresses. It's my firm belief that the world never progresses. The world always changes. The world always changes. See, you can't say that climate change is progress. You can't say floods are progress. So there are always consequences of certain things, and that's why what we can say is that the world is changing. The world is changing. For good or bad, another story, but it's changing. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi recently announced the PM Shri scheme to develop 14,500 schools across the country. This scheme, that is the short form of PM SHRI, PM Shri, stands for Pradhan Mantri Schools for Rising India. So what is it? I can tell you 2-3 points I learned from this particular development document of the Government of India. I found this on the Press Trust of India, PTI website, and Press Information Bureau website. So you could write this if you want. You could write this. Focus on in these schools, couple of points. Focus will be on learning outcomes. Focus on learning outcomes. Learning outcomes. Like conceptual, focus on conceptual understanding. Conceptual or conceptual, sorry guys. Conceptual understanding and application of knowledge to real life situations. Okay, so the idea behind this is that our education should be real world education. I mean, that will help us build a better future for our children. So they need to have skills, they need to be equipped with skills which will help them live better lives, which will help them be ready for the fast changing world. Second one, these schools will be developed as green schools, GREEN, green schools dash with features like 1-2 points. with features like solar panels, PANELs, panels for electricity and everything, solar panels, and water conservation methods, and water conservation. Next, next, will provide high quality education. Will provide high quality education in an inclusive and diverse, including and joyful environment, in an inclusive and joyful environment. See, children come from different linguistic backgrounds, different, what we say, they have multilingual needs. They come from different economic backgrounds, rich, poor, middle class, upper middle class, lower middle class, plenty of things basically. And of course, their abilities, academic abilities are different. Yeah, you could be smart. I am dumb, of course. Yeah, you know that I'm dumb. So, different people will be taken care of. Different people with different, abilities in terms of academic abilities, in terms of being able to understand things, in terms of language ability, everything. Every student will be taken care of. That is the idea of joyful environment. Okay, so these schools will also, you can also write, these schools will provide mentorship to other schools, mentorship is leadership to other schools. So in a particular region, let's say one particular, couple of schools have been chosen for this particular under the scheme. So these schemes will be guiding lights to other schools. So not all schools can be brought in, because schools then, we need those kinds of the kind of infrastructure. We need the kinds of teachers. We need all kinds of things. So this is not there. So I mean, these kinds of things are very expensive and very difficult to get in our country. Slowly things are changing. Hopefully our children get to access better education, because our children need to build a better India, a better society, a better world for us and for themselves and their future generations. Which is the first country in the world to approve a needle-free inhaled version of a COVID vaccine? China. Oh man, China is taking COVID lockdowns to an extreme. Today, 1/5 of China's population is under lockdown. Do you know that? 1/5, that is about what? It's 140 crores. 140 crores. 28, 30 crore people in China are under lockdown. The city of Chengdu and the surrounding places are all under lockdown. Things are pretty bad in a lot of cities in China. Because they have a policy called the COVID zero policy, zero COVID policy. It's called zero COVID policy. Not even a single case of COVID should be there. In India and all, of course, we kind of left everything to people. The government tells people to mask up, to get vaccinated, and of course maintain social distancing, the usual COVID protocol. But in China, the government says, no, guys, you got to do this. Yeah, you must do it. If you don't, we will do this. So they have actually locked down. They found 4 cases in one building, 1 case in one skyscraper, 24-storied building. They closed the entire building, shut down. No one could go out. No one could come in. Yeah, things are pretty bad. I follow China on a daily basis. You could say hourly basis. Yeah, except when I'm here and I'm sleeping, I follow China. I keep a track of everything that's happening in China. Small cities, big cities, government policies, all that stuff. So things are pretty bad in China. Economically, they are bad. Socially, they are bad. Politically, it's a pretty challenging time for the Xi Jinping administration. Yeah. The United Nations chief Antonio Guterres of Portugal, he's from Portugal, has appointed Roja Otunbayeva as his new envoy. That's a French word, envoy. Okay, envoy. It's not envoy. You can say envoy in English, but Frenchly, in French they pronounce it as envoy. Envoy to Afghanistan. Rosa is the former president of Kyrgyzstan. That's in Kyrgyzstan. This is Kyrgyzstan. You can see this Kyrgyzstan. See these five countries, as I told you in the past, were all Soviet Union. This is Russia. Yeah, Georgia. They're all Soviet Union. Complete Soviet Union. So let's write the capitals of these places. Or shall we write the presidents? We'll write the current president and the capital both. Chalo. Okay. Right. We'll start with Kazakhstan. Shall we write in the alphabetic and the choice order? Yes. Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan's capital is Nur Sultan. Don't go with what's there on the screen. This is the old name. Okay. Nur Sultan is the capital. This city of Astana, the old capital name, has been changed to Nur Sultan because it is named after the former president of this country, whose name is Nur Sultan Nazarbayev. Nur Sultan Nazarbayev, it's not that he is gone away, he is dead. No, he's pretty much still there. He is the chairman of the Supreme Council of Kazakhstan, and his puppet, is the current president. I mean, the family of Nur Sultan Nazarbayev has an iron fist control on Kazakhstan. Yeah, it's a crazy country. So Nur Sultan is the capital, and the president is Kasim Jomart Tokayev. This week, the president of China visited this country. So things are bad in this country because of certain corruption allegations. No, it's Nur Sultan Nazarbayev is the subject of a book called Kleptocracy. Oh man, it's a crazy book. Someday I'll tell you about the book. Yeah. So that's the president, and the currency is tenge. Let's bring in the currency also. Tenge. So capital, president, currency. Now one more thing you could write: world's largest landlocked country. It has no access to the sea. We are not talking of internal sea like Caspian Sea. World's largest landlocked country. How big is this? When you say largest, it's about 27 lakh square kilometers. Yes. India's area is a little over 32 lakhs. Theirs is 27 lakhs. It has no direct access to the sea. Next, let's go past this. Let's look at Turkmenistan. This is Turkmenistan. Very dangerous country. You can see the capital Ashgabat there. The president here is a dictator, now the new dictator, because his father was the old dictator, Sardar Berdi Muhammadov. Berdi Muhammadov. In some places you may not find the K. It's okay, don't worry. Okay. And what is this? Turkmenistan, nah? Yeah, Manat, M-A-N-A-T. Manat is the currency here. Chalo. Let's go past this. You could write this Uzbekistan. No, not this. Uzbekistan. I was just looking at Turkmenistan. Uzbekistan. No. Let's go with this choice. Kyrgyzstan. What's the capital here? Bishkek. Hmm? The president is Sadir Zaparov. The currency is Som. 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 Then we will go past this. Look at Tajikistan. Dushanbe. President is Imam Ali Rahman. Somani. Somani. Let's write something interesting. Uzbekistan. Tashkent. Tashkent. And the president here is Shavkat Mirzi Yo-Yo. This is Tashkent, you see this in the corner of the country. The currency is Soum. Previously called Som, now they change the name Soum. You could also write Uzbekistan, world's, so you could write double landlocked country. Double landlocked country. Double landlocked. You will have to cross two countries to come to the nearest sea, nearest coast. You know that? See this. This way, you will have to cross Turkmenistan, Iran, and then come to the Arabian Sea. Now, upper, you will have to cross, Kazakhstan and Russia, and then come there. Fair? You will have to, if you go to the Pacific, you want to go to Pacific Ocean, Kyrgyzstan like this, or from here, Tajikistan, China. You understand this? Yeah. I think there are only two countries in the world which are double landlocked. Double landlocked. You find out the second one. Yeah. So, chalo. Did we discuss the entire thing? Yes. Banking ombudsman scheme is applicable to all commercial banks, customers of all all commercial banks and regional rural banks, of course. An ombudsman resolves complaints concerning deficiency of service and all that stuff, which has emerged as the top state in terms of the number of disposal and entry of cases through the e-prosecution portal, is electronic prosecution portal, managed by the union government under its Digital India mission. Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh has had what? 91 million cases. Sorry, 9 million cases. That's about 9.1 million would be 91 lakh cases. So they have been able to dispose this off through this portal. Yeah, it's a good thing. It's always a good thing. Second was Madhya Pradesh. Yeah, and of course third is Bihar. Yeah, about 8.8 lakh. This is 2.3 lakh. I remember the number 3 million. Okay. So yeah, this is 8.6 lakh something, but make it 8 lakh, hardly make any difference. You could write this e-prosecution portal, joint venture between Union Ministries of Home, Information Technology and Law. Union Minister of Home, Information Technology and Law. And Law. Which country's parliament recently passed a landmark legislation to cut carbon emissions by 43% by 2030 and bring it further down to zero 20 years after that? Yeah, it's Australia. See, you need to understand Australia is a thinly populated country. Australia's area is 76 lakh square kilometers. Okay, population is 2.6 crore. Come on, guys, 2.6 crore. Their major sources of emission are coal mining and other metal mining. Basically, coal mining and livestock. That is, see, animals emit a lot of methane. You know, they emit a lot of methane. Cows, buffaloes, and all, they emit a lot of methane, and through mouth and of course through the anus. In fact, I remember there was this issue in Australia where the government had imposed a fart tax, FART. Fart tax, you find out what is fart, yeah, if you don't know. Fart tax imposed, and they said that cattle owners will have to pay this. And this guy's cattle owner said, how can we pay when the cattle do it? Okay. Of course, the government of Australia had to do the tax later, but that's the case. Yeah. Which of the, oh, this is a revision question. Which of the following nations topped the United Nations Human Development Index 2021-22? Switzerland. Second we said was Norway. Third is Iceland. Isn't it? Yeah. Just for fun. Norway's Prime Minister is Jonas Store. Prime Minister. Norway Prime Minister. Iceland, Katrin Jakobsdottir. Switzerland president is Ignacio Cassis. ठीक है, चलो लिखते हैं यहाँ तक आगे तो. Let's write more. Denmark, Mette Frederiksen. Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen. Australia, Anthony Albanese. ठीक है. Who has become the first Indian to win the Zurich Diamond League final in Switzerland? Our good old Neeraj Chopra, the javelin master, yeah, Olympic champion Neeraj Chopra. It should be capitalized. See, Neeraj Chopra, you could write, is the winner of the Zurich Diamond League final javelin. So there are a lot of events here, short track and fields events. Okay, so this is men's winner. You could write in the exam. They might ask you. See, men's winner, a lot of people know. If you know about women's winner, things will be slightly different. You could write women's winner was this American named Kara Winger. Kara Winger or Winger. She threw a 65-meter throw. Yeah. A javelin throw was 65 meters. Whereas our Neeraj Chopra's was 88. His highest is 89.7 something. But this time to win the gold medal, to win the championship, he threw 88 meters. So, Kara Winger, women's javelin champion. I will just focus on javelin. And that's the logo of the Diamond League, my friends. It looks like a diamond, no? That's why. So, name the Indian origin barrister who was recently inducted in the UK cabinet as Home Secretary. I think we Indians make too much noise about Indian origin. I don't know why. I strongly believe we shouldn't bother too much about it. Because see, first of all, she was born to people who were born in Kenya. Kenyan parents, Indians of Kenyan origin. She was born in Kenya, if I'm not wrong. Okay, and she was born to people. Her parents were of Mauritius, from Mauritius and Kenya, whose forefathers had migrated to those places from India. So why bother too much? Yeah, when people say Rishi Sunak, oh Rishi Sunak, he was born in Britain. Born in Britain, he's a British citizen. It's a good thing that it's some matter of pride for you. He's of Indian origin. I don't see any pride there because that guy never identifies himself as an Indian. Why should we run about this? Huh? So let me tell you something. In Britain, the latest cabinet of Mary Elizabeth Truss, the Prime Minister, has four major people at the top. They occupy what are called the great offices. In British cabinet, there are something called the great offices. Okay? The great offices include Prime Minister's office, Chancellor's office, Home Secretary, and Foreign Secretary. Hey, we say minister, they call secretary. That's it, nothing else. Okay? Chancellor is finance secretary. Finance, home, foreign, these are called great offices. And ladies and gentlemen, this time around, not a single white male is occupying any of these four offices. Yes. See this. Suella here. Prime Minister is Mary Elizabeth Truss. Mary Elizabeth Truss. Okay. So who's the chancellor? A black guy. See, but there is nothing derogatory in using the term black. That is how they call themselves. That is a right term. Negro is a bad term. Black is a right term. Okay. So the chancellor, the guy who has succeeded, what's his name? Rishi Sunak, Kwasi Kwarteng. Slightly difficult to pronounce names. Kwasi Kwarteng is a chancellor, and the foreign minister is also the deputy prime minister. And no. Deputy prime minister is Thomas Coffey, and this is James Cleverly. James Cleverly. James Cleverly is a foreign minister. Home minister or home secretary as they call is Suella Braverman. Kwasi Kwarteng is a chancellor. Prime minister is Elizabeth Truss. Okay. And if you could be asked, if you are asked in the exam who is the deputy prime minister of Britain, you could write this name. Write deputy prime minister Therese, not Theresa, Coffey. A woman, there is Coffey. There is Coffey, deputy prime minister. So I have given the names of all top guys in the British Parliament, British cabinet. As part of the $78 billion investment in clean energy by 2030, which Indian conglomerate announced its decision to build 3 gigafactories for manufacturing solar modules, wind turbines, and hydrogen electrolyzers. Adani Group is going gung-ho. It's already there in energy business. It's there in gas, but now it's getting into renewable energy sources, the in things actually. So Adani has said that we are going to go big in this. So let's see how it works out, because these things are at a blueprint stage, and hopefully things get better, because factories, more manufacturing would mean lesser dependence on the outside world, more dependence on greater reliance, self-reliance, plus the fact that there is employment generation, tax revenue collection, all that stuff. So Adani Group is run by Gautam Adani. Tata Group, Natarajan Chandrasekhar. GVK. What is GVK? Gunapati Venkata Krishna Reddy. Gunupati Venkata Krishna Reddy. GMR. Okay, just before that, Aditya Birla Group, run by KM Birla, Kumar Mangalam Birla. Kumar Mangalam Birla. Kumar Mangalam Birla. What about GMR? Grandhi Mallikarjun Rao. Grandhi Mallikarjun Rao. Grandhi Mallikarjun Rao. World number one women's tennis player Iga Swiatek recently won the 2022 US Open Tennis Championship. Swiatek is from Poland. That's Swiatek, my ladies and gentlemen. I had taken this photo from the World Tennis Association, sorry, Women's Tennis Association website. So let's write US Open 2022 US Open. 2022 US Open. That will be the title. See, this is the fourth Grand Slam in the year. There are 4 tennis Grand Slams. Australian Open in January. French Open in May, usually May. Wimbledon in June, July. And then US Open in September. Okay? So US Open, please. Men's winner. Men's winner. Men's singles. I write here. Men's singles. Winner is Carlos Alcaraz. Carlos Alcaraz of Spain. Carlos Alcaraz of Spain. In the case of singles tournament, singles events, we will take the name of the runner-up also. Runner-up Casper Ruud. He's from Australia, if I'm not wrong. No. Norway, yeah. How did I get it wrong, man? Hey, let me strike through this. Okay, guys? Yeah, Norway. Rudd is from Norway. Okay, that's men's singles. Let's write women's singles. You write winner Iga Swiatek. And the runner-up was what's her name? Ons Jabeur of Tunisia. Next. Men's doubles. So we'll write only the winners. Okay, alphabetically. Joe Salisbury, UK, and Rajiv Ram, of US. Rajiv Ram of US. Men's doubles. Okay, let's clear this. Women's doubles. Winners Barbora Krejcikova, no, there's C. Always confusing, man. And Katerina Siniakova. Both are from Czech Republic. Barbora Krejcikova and Katerina Siniakova. Last, mixed doubles. Tom Sanders, yes. What is it? Storm Sanders. When I first read it, I was like, what? Storm Sanders? Yeah. And John Pierce, both from Australia. Yeah, this is where I bunkered. In the first one, I said Casper Red from Australia. No, he's from Norway, actually. So, these two from Sanders and Pierce are from Australia. I love tennis. I watch all that stuff. So, that's the reason why I remember. But often these days, it's difficult to remember the countries. Which is the first state in southern India and the only state in India to get the new coastal zone management plan prepared and approved as per the new coastal regulation notification, Karnataka. So there is this coastal regulation notification which prohibits building of any kind of structure along the coast. So it has to be away from any kind of structure, permanent structure has to be slightly away from the coast. There are regulations like this. So Karnataka has come up with a new one and it's been approved by the government of India. I think that's about it. Which country recently inaugurated the first unit of the Maitri super thermal power project constructed under India's concessional financing scheme? In the previous class, we discussed India-Bangladesh cooperation and we specifically mentioned two particular things. We specifically mentioned Maitri power plant and second Rupsha rail bridge. So this is Bangladesh. Yeah. What is it? Bangladesh. So just to bring in Nepal, the Prime Minister here is Sher Bahadur Dioba. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, Sri Lankan Prime Minister, for revision's sake, Dinesh Gunawardena. Which country won the 6th Asia Cup Cricket Championship recently? Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka won it. And the usual villain is the Rajapaksa in politics there. But here, this time, it was what is his name? Bhumika Rajapaksa, who helped Sri Lanka amass a certain total and then they could successfully defend it. Yeah. So, you write Asia Cup. Title Asia Cup. Asia Cup. First point. Most titles dash India dash 7. Next. 2022 host. 2022 host UAE. Next, 2023 host Pakistan. What is it? Pakistan. Next, winner of 2022. Winner Sri Lanka. Runner up Pakistan. Player of the series Vanindu Hasaranga of Sri Lanka. Hasaranga of Sri Lanka. This time there were 6 teams. These two, India, Bangladesh, Afghanistan and Hong Kong. Which team clinched the title of the inaugural edition of the Ultimate Kho-Kho League? Odisha Juggernauts. The word Juggernaut comes from the word Jagannath. Bhagwan Jagannath's Rath Yatra. Okay. There's a story. Find out the story. If you don't get it, leave a mail. I'll tell the story. By the way, Juggernaut means unstoppable. Typically in English means Juggernaut means on a roll, unstoppable. Okay. Now I want you to know something more here. So what is it? Ultimate Coco, mm, Pune. Venue Pune. Venue Pune. Venue Pune. ठीक है, Venue Pune. There are 6 teams. These are 5 are there. There is one missing. See, by the way, Odisha Juggernaut won the championship. They defeated Telugu Yodhas. The prize money was 1 crore rupees. This is 50 lakh rupees. Runner up. Okay. So, yeah, 5 teams are mentioned. One that is missing is Mumbai Khiladi. Mumbai Khiladis. Yes, Mumbai Khiladis. So, Chennai Quick Guns, Telugu Yodhas, Gujarat Giants, Rajasthan Warriors, Odisha Juggernauts, and Mumbai Khiladis. Mumbai Khiladis. That's the one that's missing. So, see, Kho is a sport that we played back in school when we were small. Now it's become a professional league, and there is a lot of money to be made. A lot of money to be made. Kabaddi, wrestling, these things are all becoming professional. Chalo. Who of the following authored the book titled India's Economy from Nehru to Modi, a brief history? Pulapre Balakrishnan. See, this guy gives a lot of credit to Nehru. He does not say that Nehru did wrong in accepting a certain business, a certain economy model right after independence, the socialist model and all. So, to an extent, yes, he belongs to that. He is an Ashoka University professor. He has this. See, people may say bias, unbiased, or whatever. I will not get into this, but he is generally kind to Nehru, Jawaharlal Nehru. I have great interest in the history of the Indian economy, and I read a lot about these things. So this is just one of those books. You can't say that this is a definitive history or something. Like you have Shashi Tharoor, master author, Congress politician, former United Nations Under Secretary General. Oh, plenty of things basically he's done. At the age of 22, he received a PhD from the Fletcher School of International Diplomacy, which is like the thing, my friend. At that time, he was the youngest. And Fletcher School is considered the world's best school for international diplomacy. He received a PhD at 22. One book you could read is An Era of Darkness. An Era of Darkness. In this book, he talks about how the British rule sapped India, how the British looted India, and at one point he mentions, if I'm not wrong, a figure of $45 trillion. India's GDP today is $3.5 trillion. And he talks about Britain taking away $45 trillion of India's wealth to finance their own world. Yeah. Jairam Ramesh, a Congress politician, you could write that he's written many books. One is To the Brink. To the Brink. Brink means edge, the very end, and back. India's 1991 Story. This is a good book. India's 1991 Story. Okay, Sanjeev Sanyal, he is an advisor to the Ministry of Finance. Okay, economic advisor to the Ministry of Finance. Very good, he is also a former global strategist and managing director of Deutsche Bank, one of the world's biggest banks. Sanjeev Sanyal is the author of books like Land of the Seven Rivers. Land of the Seven Rivers. Very good book. In fact, the books that I mentioned, I have read all of them. That is where learning comes, my friends. Yeah. And read all kinds of things. There's nothing like this guy, you should not read that guy. You should read all. Raghuram Rajan. Raghuram Rajan is author of books like Fault Lines. Fault Lines. There is a long title. You don't have to write that. You just write Fault Lines. The long title is How Hidden Fractures Still Threaten the Global Economy. That's the full title. Okay, don't write. It's enough. Whom of the following persons has recently been conferred the 31st Vyas Samman Award? Yeah, this is Vajahat, Ashkar Vajahat. So, I want you to know something here, that the Vyas Samman, you write this, given by the Foundation, KK Birla Foundation, for the best work, for the best work published in Hindi in the last 10 years. Best means outstanding work in Hindi published in the last 10 years. Published in the last 10 years. This is the story of Akbar, the Mughal Emperor Akbar and Tulsidas ji. In this, the writer Ashkar Wajahat talks about a conversation between, conversations between Tulsidas ji and Emperor Akbar. And the idea of the word Mahabali, who is Mahabali? Is the Emperor Mahabali or is it the poet? That's a story. I haven't read this, but it sounds very interesting. Yeah. So, Ashkar Wajahat, for his play Mahabali. I think it's 2019 play. 2019. There's much to read, my friends. It's our great culture. We got to read. Great men write. Our job is to read, learn. Yeah. You know this Gitanjali Shri. She is the writer of this book called Ret Samadhi. Translated in English, Tomb of Sand. Won the Booker Prize this year. Won the Man International Booker Prize or Booker International Prize. Yeah. Next. Right Livelihood Award is given at which are the following? The Swedish Parliament. The Swedish Parliament is called the Riksdag. That's the name of the Swedish Parliament. Okay. See this award, you could write this, given for offering practical and exemplary, that's the word they use, exemplary solutions or answers, for offering practical and exemplary solutions to the most urgent challenges, urgent challenges facing us today. Facing us means the world today. Okay, next. Founded in 1980 by Jacob von Uexküll of Sweden. He has a double citizenship but writes Sweden. Okay. The first person Indian to get it was in 1983. Ila Bhatt. You know Ila Bhatt? Ila Bhatt is the founder of SEWA, Self-Employed Women's Association. She received this in 1983. And the last time an Indian person or entity won it was in 2021. Yeah, you could write 2021 Indian winner. There are usually four winners. So one of them was, you could write this, legal initiative for forest and environment. Life. So this is an organization that works in the sphere of empowering tribals, protect their natural habitat, their forests, their produce, and getting them forest rights, all that stuff. Okay. The choices we've been discussing for a long time. What is the ratio of funds to be kept with the RBI by all commercial banks as reserves as per RBI guidelines? So it is a cash reserve ratio, and the cash reserve ratio currently is 4.5%, I think. 4.5%. So 4.5% of whatever deposits an RBI commercial bank collects, that has to be kept with the RBI. That's what it means, nothing else. Maybe if there is something about this, I'll bring this back in the next class. I'll take this question and I'll discuss CRR in detail. Chalo. Next. That's all, guys, for this weekend. Thank you for being here. Thank you from Bharat C. Jain and the entire team. Have a lot of fun. Stay curious.